Welcome today, and thank you for tuning in. I want to speak directly to your heart, to that part of you that's been tired, discouraged, and maybe even a little frustrated. Life has a way of testing us. You give it your best, you stay faithful, and yet things seem to stay the same. You're trying to raise that child, build that business, save that relationship, get through that sickness, but nothing seems to move. But I've come with good news. You're not forgotten, you're not alone, and you are not stuck. God is getting ready to show up in your life, and when He does, everything is going to change. You see, God is not intimidated by your situation. He's not pacing heaven wondering how He's going to get you out. He already has the solution. He already has the open door. He already has the healing, the breakthrough, the favor lined up. All He's waiting on is the right time. And while you may not see it now, trust me, when God steps in, everything that was working against you will start working for you. Throughout this message, we're going to talk about what to do while you wait, how to stay in faith even when it feels like nothing's happening, and how to recognize when God is preparing you for the shift. Because the truth is, sometimes God changes your situation, and other times He changes you in the situation. But either way, He shows up. There are times in life when we pray and wait, we believe, and still nothing seems to happen. Days turn into weeks and weeks into months, and we begin to wonder if God even heard us. But let me remind you today, God's timing is not your timing, but it is always right. He's never late, never early. He shows up exactly when He's supposed to. And when He does, everything can change in an instant. See, we live in a microwave culture. We want things fast. We expect answers now. But God operates on a different calendar. He sees the beginning and the end. He knows what's ahead, and He knows the perfect moment to bring the breakthrough. Just because you haven't seen it yet doesn't mean it's not on the way. Sometimes the waiting season is where the real transformation happens. You might be looking at your situation right now thinking, nothing's changing. I've been praying. I've been believing. I've been doing everything I know how to do. Why hasn't it happened yet? Friend, God is not ignoring you. He's not withholding your breakthrough. He's preparing you for it. The delay isn't meant to discourage you. It's meant to develop you. God uses time to build strength in your faith, to prepare your character for what's coming. There are blessings that are so big, they require maturity to carry them. If God gave you everything you asked for right now, it might crush you instead of bless you. So He waits, He shapes you, He molds you, He stretches your patience, He increases your capacity. And when the time is right, when you're ready, when the doors are aligned, He will show up and everything will change. Think about Joseph in the Bible. He had a dream that he would be in leadership, that his brothers would bow down to him. But instead of rising to the top right away, he was thrown into a pit, sold into slavery, falsely accused, and thrown into prison. For years, it looked like nothing was happening. But all the while, God was working behind the scenes. Joseph didn't see the full picture. He couldn't understand why things were so hard. But God had a plan, and at the appointed time, not a day too early or a moment too late, God elevated him from the prison to the palace. That's how our God works. When He shows up, He doesn't just do a little. He does more than you can ask or imagine. He turns things around in ways you never saw coming. But you've got to trust His timing. You've got to believe that His schedule is better than your schedule. You may feel like you've been stuck in the same season for too long, but don't lose heart. The time is coming. The breakthrough is on the way. The right opportunity is about to knock on your door. You see, while you're waiting, God is watching. He's watching your attitude, your perseverance, your trust. Are you still praising Him in the middle? Are you still showing up with faith even when you don't feel anything? Are you still declaring His promises when it looks like everything is against you? That's the kind of faith that God rewards. That's what sets you up for a miracle. God doesn't operate in panic. He's not rushed by pressure. He's not anxious about your future. He already sees how it all works out. And sometimes He waits because He's waiting on other people to get in position. He's lining up the right connections, shifting circumstances, moving pieces that you can't see. And when it all lines up, He shows up, and He doesn't just improve your life, He transforms it. You may feel like nothing is happening, but in the spiritual realm, things are shifting. Prayers are being answered. Favor is being released. Doors are being opened. Healing is on the horizon. Restoration is being prepared. Don't judge your situation by what your eyes can see. Walk by faith and not by sight. Because just like that, God can turn the page. Just like that, He can promote you. Just like that, the thing that seemed impossible can suddenly become your reality. I want you to remember, God's timing is always right. It may be uncomfortable. It may stretch your faith. It may seem like He's forgotten you, but He hasn't. He's working all things together for your good. The story isn't over yet. Don't give up in the waiting. Don't let delay become discouragement. Keep standing, keep praising, keep believing, because God is faithful and He will show up. And when He does, everything will change. There's a common misunderstanding that many people have when they step into a life of faith. They think that trusting God means everything will go smoothly, that storms will be avoided, that trouble will stay away. But the truth is, faith doesn't prevent storms. Faith carries you through them. Faith is not a pass to skip hardship. Faith is the anchor that holds you steady while the winds howl and the waves crash all around you. You can believe with your whole heart, pray with tears in your eyes, and still find yourself in the middle of a difficult season. That doesn't mean God has left you. That doesn't mean your faith is weak. In fact, it often means the opposite. Some of the strongest believers go through the fiercest battles because their faith is being refined. The storm isn't there to destroy you. It's there to develop you. It's there to prove what's inside of you. It's there to show you how faithful your God really is. Think about the disciples. One day, Jesus said, "Let's go to the other side." They got into a boat, and while they were in the middle of the water, a violent storm broke out. The waves were so high and the wind so loud, they feared for their lives. These were experienced fishermen, men who had seen storms before. But this one was different. This one made them feel helpless. And where was Jesus? Asleep. Right there in the boat, but not stressed, not worried, not panicking like they were. Now, let's pause for a moment. Jesus had already said, "Let's go to the other side." That was His promise. He didn't say, "Let's try." He didn't say, "Let's see if we make it." He gave them a word. But when the storm came, they forgot what He said and focused on what they saw. Isn't that what we do? God gives us a promise. He speaks to our heart. He whispers hope into our spirit. But when the storm rolls in, we begin to doubt. We forget what He said and start to panic about what we're facing. Friend, that storm didn't stop Jesus. It didn't even wake Him up until the disciples cried out. And when they did, He stood up, spoke to the storm, and said, "Peace, be still." And just like that, the winds died down, the waves settled, the calm returned. That's what God can do in your life. He can speak peace into your chaos. He can quiet the noise. He can bring rest in the middle of your unrest. But you've got to have faith in the middle of the storm, not just when the skies are blue. You see, the power of faith is not just believing God can deliver you from the storm, but trusting Him even if He doesn't calm it right away. Sometimes God doesn't remove the storm. Sometimes He strengthens you in it. He teaches you how to walk through it with grace, with peace, with joy that makes no sense. That's what real faith does. It doesn't fall apart under pressure. It stands. It endures. It holds on when everything else says let go. The enemy loves to use storms to shake your confidence, to make you question your worth, to try to convince you that God has forgotten you. But the storm doesn't mean you're off course. It could mean you're right on track. The presence of opposition is often a sign that you're headed toward breakthrough. The enemy wouldn't fight you so hard if you weren't carrying something valuable. If you weren't close to something greater, the storm wouldn't even be necessary. Faith doesn't just get you through the storm. It grows in the storm. It expands. It deepens. Some of the greatest spiritual strength is built when things don't go your way, when prayers are answered with silence, when the breakthrough doesn't come on your timeline. That's when you learn to trust God not for what He can do, but for who He is. That's when your relationship with Him becomes unshakable. Maybe you're in the middle of a storm right now. Maybe life has hit you with something you didn't see coming. A diagnosis, a betrayal, a job loss, a relationship that fell apart, and maybe you've prayed and nothing seems to change. Let me encourage you, your faith is working even when the storm isn't stopping. Your prayers are not in vain. Your tears are seen by God, and He hasn't forgotten you. Hold on to His promise. If He said you're going to the other side, then you're going to make it. The storm may rage, but it cannot cancel His word. The wind may blow, but it cannot uproot your purpose. Keep speaking faith. Keep standing strong. Keep praising Him in the middle of the storm, because when it's all said and done, you'll come out stronger, wiser, and more grounded in your faith than you ever imagined. And here's the beauty of it all. When you come through the storm, you won't look like what you've been through. People will see the peace in your eyes, the strength in your walk, and they'll wonder how you made it. That's when you'll say, God carried me. My faith didn't stop the storm, but it sure carried me through it. That's the kind of testimony that changes lives. That's the kind of story that glorifies God. And that's the kind of faith He's building in you right now. There's something powerful about reaching the end of yourself and realizing you can't fix it, can't figure it out, can't make it happen on your own. It's uncomfortable, even painful. But it's often the very place where God begins to move. Because when it looks impossible, that's when God steps in. That's where He does His best work. When your back is against the wall, when you've run out of options, when everyone else has said, it's over. That's when God says, watch what I can do. God specializes in the impossible. He doesn't need perfect conditions, a cooperative crowd, or favorable statistics. In fact, He often waits for things to look hopeless before He moves, because that's when He gets the glory. That's when nobody can take credit for the breakthrough but Him. That's when people look at your life and say, there's no way they could have made it out of that on their own. That had to be God. Maybe you're facing something right now that seems impossible. A financial situation you can't see your way out of. A doctor's report that has left you shaken. A child that has strayed so far you can't even imagine them turning around. Or maybe it's a dream that feels so delayed, so far gone, you've stopped praying for it. I want to tell you today, God sees it. He hasn't forgotten you. And just because it looks impossible doesn't mean it's over. In fact, sometimes God will allow things to get worse before they get better. Not to punish you, but to prepare you, to position you for a miracle. Think about Lazarus. When he was sick, his sisters sent word to Jesus, knowing He could heal. But Jesus didn't come right away. He waited. And during that waiting, Lazarus died. Not only that, he was buried. 4 days passed before Jesus showed up. To everyone else, it was too late, but not to Jesus. He didn't just come to heal Lazarus. He came to resurrect him. Because healing would have been a miracle, yes, but resurrection, that's the impossible. That's a God-only kind of move. And when Jesus called Lazarus out of that grave, everyone around knew something divine had just happened. The same God who resurrected Lazarus can resurrect your situation. He can breathe life into what's been declared dead. He can restore what's been broken beyond repair. He can bring beauty out of ashes. See, we often want God to come early, but God loves to show up in such a way that nobody can deny His hand was in it. He waits until the marriage is hanging by a thread. He waits until the door has been closed 5 times. He waits until the report says, no way. Why? Because when He turns it around, you'll know without a shadow of a doubt it was Him. Your faith didn't move the mountain, God did. Your obedience didn't open the door, God did. Your prayers didn't part the sea, He did. That's why you can't let the impossible intimidate you. You can't let the delay discourage you. You can't let the facts define your faith. What's impossible with man is still possible with God. He's not looking at the size of your mountain. He's looking at the size of your heart. Are you still believing? Are you still hoping? Are you still declaring His promises even when nothing makes sense? Sometimes God will let the odds stack up against you so that when He brings you out, it's undeniable. Like Gideon, who went into battle with 32,000 men. God said, that's too many. So He reduced the army to $10 and still too many. Finally, God cut the number to 300. Why? Because He didn't want Israel to think they had won the battle by their own strength. He wanted them to know it was the Lord who gave them victory. Friend, if the odds are against you, you're right where God can work. If you don't have the resources, if you don't have the support, if you don't have the answers, good. That means when the breakthrough comes, it'll be God who gets the credit. That's where miracles are born. In the places where human hands fall short, God's hand stretches wide. I know it's not easy. I know the waiting can feel endless and the silence can be deafening. But don't let the impossible paralyze you. Let it propel you into deeper faith. Let it draw you closer to God. Let it remind you that you were never supposed to carry it all on your own. Surrender it to Him. Lay it at His feet. And then wait. Wait with expectation, because when God steps in, everything changes. He may not move the way you expected. He may not follow your timeline, but He will show up. And when He does, He'll do more than you prayed for. He'll go beyond what you imagined. He'll turn your "I don't see a way" into "I don't even know how He did it, but He did." That's the God you serve. A God who steps in when it's impossible. A God who parts Red Seas, shuts lions' mouths, calms raging storms, and raises the dead. If He did it before, He can do it again. And if He promised it, He will perform it. So don't quit believing. Don't stop declaring. Don't let what you see make you forget what God said. Because the impossible is not the end of your story. It's the beginning of God's glory. And when He shows up, He will change everything. There's a truth we all have to face at some point in our journey of faith. Not every delay is the enemy working against us. Sometimes the delay is God's design. It's not a rejection. It's not a punishment. It's a divine preparation. Your delay is not denial. It's not God withholding from you. It's God preparing something greater for you and in you. See, we often want things fast. We pray for a breakthrough, and we want it now. We ask for healing, and we expect it by tomorrow. We believe for a relationship, a business, a promotion, and we want to see it unfold instantly. But God is not rushed by our deadlines. He's not moved by our impatience. He sees the full picture, and in His wisdom, He sometimes says, "Wait, I'm doing something deeper than you know." Waiting is one of the hardest things for us to do. We like progress. We like action. But when we're in a season where nothing seems to be happening, where doors are closed, where prayers feel unanswered, it can be discouraging. It's easy to feel forgotten. But let me tell you something, God is not still because He doesn't care. God is still because He's preparing. He's preparing the path. He's preparing the blessing, and He's preparing you to receive it. There are some things you're praying for that are too heavy for your current capacity. If God gave it to you today, you wouldn't be ready. It would overwhelm you. So instead of rushing the blessing, God develops the person. He builds the character, the humility, the resilience, the wisdom. He stretches your faith, sharpens your discernment, and deepens your trust. The delay is not the problem. The delay is part of the process. Think about David. He was anointed as king while he was still a shepherd boy. God declared his future, but it didn't happen overnight. In fact, years went by, years of running, hiding, being misunderstood, facing hardship. He could have said, "God, did you forget what you promised?" But what David didn't know at the time was that those years of delay were years of preparation. He wasn't just being delayed from the throne. He was being developed for the throne. That's what happens in your delay. You're being strengthened. You're being shaped. You're learning how to fight battles, how to stand under pressure, how to keep your eyes on God when everything around you says give up. And when the time is right, when you've been refined and the situation has been aligned, God will open the door, and you won't just walk into your blessing. You'll be ready to carry it. See, there's a blessing in delay that we often overlook. Delay exposes your foundation. It reveals whether you're depending on feelings or on faith. It shows whether you're chasing the promise or the promise giver. It's in the waiting that you learn how to worship without answers, how to praise without evidence, how to trust without clarity. And that's what grows your spiritual roots. So many people give up in the delay. They stop praying. They stop believing. They walk away from the very thing God is using to build them. But if you can stay planted, if you can remain faithful when it's slow, if you can hold on when it doesn't make sense, that's when you qualify for promotion. God rewards faithfulness. He honors consistency. He blesses